In yesterday's episode of World Report, we discussed how the United States Department of Justice indicted jailed gangster Lawrence Bishnoi, accusing him of running a vast transnational criminal network from inside the Sabarmati Central Jail. According to the American prosecutors, despite being behind bars, Bishnoi continued to direct contract killings, extortion rackets, narcotics trafficking, arms smuggling, kidnapping, human trafficking, and money laundering across several countries. But the indictment goes far beyond merely naming Bishnoi. It identifies several high-profile crimes which, according to the US Department of Justice, were either ordered, directed, or claimed by the Bishnoi organized crime group. These include the murder of Punjabi rap singer Sidhu Moosewala, the firing outside Bollywood actor Salman Khan's residence, threats against Punjabi singer Gippy Grewal, the assassination of Khalistani separatist Hardeep Singh Nijjar in Canada, and several other cases stretching across continents. The indictment states acts of violence committed by members and associates of the Bishnoi Organized Crime Group or the OCG often targeted prominent cultural, political and business leaders in India and diaspora communities outside of India. The American prosecutors have also sought the extradition of Lawrence Bishnoi, Jaggu Bhagwanpuria and controversial Punjab police officer Gurinderjeet Singh Nagra. So in this episode, let's examine each of the major cases cited by the US Department of Justice in its indictment. And in the second half of this report, let us also answer an equally important question. Can India legally extradite these accused to the United States? Let's begin with the first case, the murder of the prominent Punjabi rap singer Sidhu Moosewala. A prominent case cited by American prosecutors is the killing of Punjabi rap singer Sidhu Moosewala, who was also the part of the Congress party. The group had claimed responsibility through an interview with a media outlet for ordering and directing the murder of SSS, a prominent Indian singer and rapper who was murdered on May 29, 2022 in Mansa, Punjab, the US Department of Justice says. The initials SSS are referred to Shubdeep Singh Sidhu, popularly known as Sidhu Moosewala, who was ambushed and shot dead by unidentified assailants in Jawahar Ke village of Punjab's Mansa district. The next is the Salman Khan case. The indictment also references repeated threats issued against a prominent Bollywood actor. The indictment states between 2022 and 2026, Bishnoi announced on multiple occasions his intention to murder SK, a well-known Indian actor and television personality. The reference of SK is widely believed to be Salman Khan, whose Mumbai residence came under firing in April 2024. The long-running hostility between Bishnoi and the actor is linked to the 1998 Black Buck poaching case, over which the gangster has repeatedly issued public threats. Then it is the Gippy Grewal case. The Department of Justice also refers to a shooting at the residence of actor-singer RG on November 24, 2023. The initials are understood to refer to Punjabi singer Rupender Singh, also known as Gippy Grewal. The indictment further states that on November 25, 2023, Lawrence Bishnoi claimed responsibility for the attack through a Facebook post warning, "No one can save you from us." According to the US investigators, the gang continued threatening Grewal and his manager between December 2025 and March 2026, demanding extortion payments while issuing repeated death threats. The next is the Sunil Yadav murder case. The indictment also includes the murder of alleged drug trafficker Sunil Yadav, who was shot dead in Stockton, California on December 23, 2024. According to the prosecutors, Goldie Brar and Rohit Godara publicly claimed responsibility for the killing on behalf of the Bishnoi gang. They allegedly accompanied the claim with the chilling warning, "All our enemies, be prepared. Any corner of the world you reach, we will reach you there." And finally, another case mentioned in the indictment is the assassination of Khalistani extremist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. The indictment alleges that Lawrence Bishnoi and his close associate Goldie Brar orchestrated the slaying of HSN, identified as Khalistani separatist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Nijjar was shot dead outside Guru Nanak Sikh Gurudwara in Surrey, British Columbia on June 18, 2023. Now comes perhaps the most important legal question. Can India actually extradite Lawrence Bishnoi and the other accused to the United States? Extradition between India and the US is governed by the Bilateral Extradition Treaty signed in 1997 along with India's Extradition Act 1962. The treaty came into force in 1999. The treaty operates on the principle of dual criminality. In simple terms, a conduct must qualify as an offense under the law of both countries. Another important safeguard is the rule of speciality, under which an extradited person can only be prosecuted for the offences for which extradition was granted. Another notable feature of the treaty is that the extradition cannot be denied merely because the accused is an Indian citizen. The treaty thus does not prohibit either India or the US to extradite their own nationals. Under the treaty, political offences are generally exempted. However, crimes such as murder, terrorism, hostage-taking and drug trafficking are specifically excluded from that protection. Are the charges enough for Bishnoi's extradition? Yes, they appear to. The US has charged the accused under the RICO Act, but India doesn't need an identical law. The key question is whether the alleged offence are crime in both countries. Since murder, conspiracy, extortion, drug trafficking and firearms offences are punishable under Indian law, the requirement is met. The same principle was applied in the extradition of Tahavvur Rana. How will the extradition take place? The process is a bit lengthy. The US Department of Justice will prepare an extradition request and will formally transmit it through the State Department to India's MEA. The MEA, in consultation with the Home Ministry and the agencies such as the CBI, would examine whether the request satisfies the treaty and the India's Extradition Act. If the centre agrees, the matter moves before an Indian court. The court determines whether the legal requirements have been met and whether the evidence would justify prosecution had the offence been committed in India. If satisfied, the court certifies that the accused can be extradited. However, the final decision still rests with the Union government, which may impose conditions, seek diplomatic assurances, or even delay the surrender. Such decisions are also open to challenge before the High Court and the Supreme Court, making extradition proceedings notoriously time-consuming. Can the extradition be delayed? Legally, yes. Even if all the conditions under the India-US extradition treaty are fulfilled, extradition is never automatic. The biggest obstacle in the Lawrence Bishnoi case is that he is already in judicial custody in India and faces numerous criminal cases. According to the NIA, Bishnoi is facing at least 84 active criminal cases across several states including Delhi, Punjab, Rajasthan and Chandigarh. These include allegations of murder, criminal conspiracy, extortion, organized crime, terror funding and the conspiracy surrounding the killing of Punjabi singer Sidhu Moosewala. Under Article 14 of the India-US Extradition Treaty, read with Section 31 of India's Extradition Act, the Indian government has the discretion to postpone extradition while domestic criminal proceedings are pending. In simple terms, India can legally insist that Bishnoi first face trial in Indian courts and, if convicted, serve his sentence here before considering any extradition request from the United States. His current custodial status creates another practical hurdle. Bishnoi is lodged in Sabarmati Central Jail under judicial custody. The Union Home Ministry has involved Section 303 of the Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita, which severely restricts his movement outside prison. As a result, he usually attends court proceedings through video conferencing instead of being produced physically. These restrictions were imposed due to security concerns, including the risk of escape and gang-related violence. Any proposal to physically transfer him outside India would therefore require additional legal and administrative clearances. Even if the Indian government agrees to the extradition request, the legal process does not end there. Once a magistrate approves extradition, the accused has the right to challenge the decision before the High Court and ultimately the Supreme Court. Courts examine the legality of the request presented, treaty obligations, and other legal safeguards. Such litigation can take years, as seen in the extradition cases of Vijay Mallya and Nirav Modi. The situation is somewhat different for Punjab police officer Gurinderjeet Singh Nagra, who is not facing a comparable number of pending criminal cases. However, Indian authorities could still initiate domestic proceedings against him because the alleged conduct also constitutes offences under Indian law. A similar approach was adopted after the United States indicted former RAW officer Vikas Yadav. Instead of extraditing him, Delhi police registered an FIR and began domestic criminal proceedings. If Washington eventually seeks his extradition, India will again have to decide whether domestic prosecution should take priority, a question that could equally arise in Nagra's case. That's all for today's report. Till I see you next time with another topic in hand. Thanks for watching.